Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about astrology and the death of a legendary game show television host, Alex Trebek. This is very shocking, obviously something very traumatic and devastating. The first thing I want to do is offer my condolences and to the friends and family of Alex Trebek, if any one of those people should happen to say it. And I mean, we lost, obviously one of the best television personalities, television game show hosts of all time. The show Jeopardy is obviously legendary in itself, and so is the host. And just terrible to hear things like this. He died of a very, I'm sure it was a very long battle with pancreatic cancer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about some transits and natal placements in his chart that might have been tied in to his passing. Now, the thing about this is he has a Virgo sun. He's a sun in Cancer, moon in Pisces, and Virgo rising person. He had Virgo on the ascendant. Virgo can be associated with the pancreas. The ascendant, of course, is the physical body. And people that have Virgo rising have a certain propensity toward problems, of course, that are Virgo related, such as physical debilitations associated with the zodiac sign Virgo, such as the pancreas. He also has Neptune conjunct his ascendant in Virgo, and that can give certain weakness to the physical body, and it can be something Virgo related. In this case, the pancreas. I think that's how it may have manifested with him. He also has the sun in the zodiac sign Cancer, and the zodiac sign Cancer can be associated with the pancreas as well. He has it at 29 degrees. The sun, 29 degrees in astrology, is the anaretic degree. It can be a critical degree. The sun in astrology can be associated with the physical body as well to some degree, like the ascendant, not as dominant as the ascendant in terms of the physical nature, but it still can play a role in it. And he did have it at 29 degrees, which is a crisis degree. And he did die from pancreatic cancer. He also had Pluto, the planet of death, conjunct his sun in the zodiac sign Cancer. So, and also Pluto, though generational, Pluto and Cancer by itself, though generational, might give a little greater inclination than average. I would think to could perhaps die due to something Cancer related, like the pancreas, like the zodiac sign Cancer related, like the pancreas. I'm trying to scroll down here. I'm sorry, second people. I'm trying to see his Pluto degree is well, actually, he does. Actually, it's my mistake. He has Pluto at 2 degrees Leo. So disregard what I said about the Pluto in Cancer description, but that I gave. But anyway, there's some other interesting transits that he had at this time. Another thing, he does have Jupiter in his 8th house of death in his natal chart, and Jupiter is associated with the pancreas as well. Transit Uranus appeared to be very close to his natal Jupiter, not too far from it. And when you have transit, Uranus hitting planet can bring about something very unexpected, very surprising, and transit Uranus in the 8th house by itself can sometimes manifest in a very unexpected passing. So, but I think, when you look at the fact that his age and, having the pancreatic cancer, that he probably didn't have much more than, maybe a few years. I'm not really sure how the pancreatic cancer actually works in terms of longevity, and a lot of it, I guess, is predicated on whether you're able to, fight it off or not. Another thing that I noticed in his chart as well, he does have the zodiac sign Pisces on his 6th house cusp. Now, Pisces can be about diseases that can't be eradicated or cured. Now, I don't know enough about this pancreatic cancer as to whether in some cases. I guess it could be fought and won, but what I think is, I don't know this 100%, but this was likely, I'm thinking it may have been at a stage where there was actually, it wasn't going to be cured, but that is something you would have to confer and verify on the internet. I don't know, like I said, I don't know enough about the pancreatic cancer in terms of, is there any point, is it curable in some cases? I would think it would be, because when people say, they lost the battle with it, to me that implies or intimates that it can potentially, in some cases, have some kind of cure, or can actually go away in some cases. But anyway, another thing too is he has the moon in his sixth house in his natal chart, and the moon can also be associated with the pancreas. The sixth house is the house of health. And another thing too is that he also has the ruler of his fourth house of the end of life in the eighth house. So the fourth house can be associated with the pancreas as well, because the fourth house in astrology corresponds with the zodiac sign Cancer, and he has the ruler of that in the eighth house of death, and that is Jupiter. And again, Jupiter can be associated with the pancreas. He also has Saturn conjunct that natal Jupiter, which can give difficulties and add certain, despondency and certain problems and difficulties with that Jupiterian energy. Now, another thing, that I'm looking at too, transit Mars at this time was not far from his natal south node in Libra. And when you're talking about the south node in transits in astrology, it can reflect energy we're going away from. Mars is about battles. Transit Mars, I mean, you're talking about in the combative sign Aries. It's not surprising that this was a battle that was actually going away, that the fight was not happening anymore, because again, the transits that involve the south node could be about energy we're going away from. Mars is about combat, is about battling. So this was a fight that he actually, sadly, he had lost at this time, and the fight was not going to be there anymore because of his passing in the fight against pancreatic cancer, which could be seen as an open adversary. This transit did occur in his seventh house. So really, they're just it's just, to me, it's a shame that when you hear about these things, and people have to remember that celebrities, they're not impervious to disease, to debilitations. Everybody, it doesn't matter, your stature in life, whether you're, in more mundane society, whether you're just an average Joe, whether you're a famous person, nobody is immune to these kind of debilitations and diseases. And he did live to like 80 years old, so he did live a fairly full life, and he did so where he battled this disease courageously, I'm sure. The thing what people have to remember is that it's perceived as him losing a battle to cancer, but he actually, in his own way, didn't lose the battle to it, because it was how he lived his life and how he carried himself during the time he had it, which in his own way helped him emerge victorious against it. I'm just putting my 2 cents in as far as that goes. But there's really not much more I wanted to add to this. Some people see Venus as being connected with the pancreas. I thought it was interesting that the transit of Venus was not far from his natal north node at the time of his passing. And when you're talking about the north node being involved in transits in astrology, it can be about issues one may have to confront or address. He had that transit in the first house of the physical body, and really is not much more really I can add to this than that. Another thing that I did to notice that transit Saturn was making, you could say, a loose opposition perhaps to his to his natal sun, at least to lose opposition to it. And that could have been, he may have been having difficulties at the time as well with matters with bones or the hamstrings, the knees, the joints at this time. Transit Jupiter was also in his fourth house at the time of the latter part, the end of life. And again, Jupiter can be associated with the pancreas in astrology. Capricorn, and Jupiter being in Capricorn, the sign of limitations. So those are some ways you could say that this may have manifested and panned out for Alex Trebek. Sadly, and it was interesting too. I'm going off on the Gemini moon tangent here, but he does have his Mercury is in Cancer and it's retrograde, and it's interesting because the game show that he hosted, that he became renowned for, Jeopardy, was kind of like a reverse, question kind of show. You would give the answer, and then the person would ask the question connected with it. Mercury, being retrograde, is going in the other direction, where in most shows and in most communications you're going to have the question being asked first and then the answer. This is going in Mercury retrograde. It's a different mindset. It's sometimes it's like it's going, that energy with him went in reverse in a way. And on the show itself, you had the answer being given before the question. So the question and answer sequence went in reverse mode. Questions and answers, of course, are forms of communication, and this might not have been his idea to be on this show, but it seems like, based on him having Mercury retrograde in the 10th house of notoriety and recognition, it just fit his own astrological energy. So that's really it, people. Hold on a moment. Well, another thing that I noticed I wanted to point out with Alex Trebek's chart is that he had Aries on the cusp of the 8th house. So that's another indicator to me that I'm sure he fought death very valiantly and courageously with a lot of courage and fortitude. So really not much more. Really, I could add in terms of transits, natal placements that might have been tied in to his passing. Now, another thing is that he did have transit moon not far from his Mars at the time. At least at the time, the transits I'm looking at are the current ones at the time I actually made this video. And the moon is about the public, and you're talking about Mars is about our is about battles. So it's something that came out publicly regarding a battle that he had, and Mars being in Leo, that he fought with a lot of courage, likely, and ferocity. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.